Welcome to my channel BBC Rare Coins. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the Wheat Penny, one of America's most iconic and collectible coins. Let's start. Top 1. Imagine flipping through your spare change and finding a single penny that could change your life. Not a silver dollar, not a gold coin, just one small copper penny. That's the magic of the 1941 Wheat Penny, one of the most surprising and valuable coins in American history. While millions of these coins were produced during the early 1940s, there's one rare version of the 1941 Wheat Penny that shocked collectors and numismatists alike by selling for an unbelievable $77,000. And yes, it's real. At first glance, the 1941 Wheat Penny doesn't look like anything special. It has the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the words, "In God We Trust," along the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1941 to the right. Flip it over, and you see the classic wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. It's a design that was minted from 1909 to 1958 and became iconic in American coinage. But here's where things get interesting. A very small number of the 1941 Wheat Pennies were struck with a unique and highly valuable error, known as a double die obverse. This rare minting mistake means that certain parts of the design appear to have been stamped twice. If you look closely at the rare version of the 1941 penny, you'll notice clear doubling in the lettering, particularly in Liberty, "In God We Trust," and even the date 1941 itself. This doubling happened during the die creation process, when the hub used to stamp the die shifted slightly between impressions. Most coins struck from the defective die were released into circulation before the mistake was ever noticed. Now, combine that doubling error with exceptional condition, what collectors call mint state, or uncirculated, and you've got one of the most valuable pennies ever discovered. In one documented case, a 1941 double die wheat penny graded in mint state sold at auction for an eye-watering $77,000. That's more than many new cars, college tuition, or even the down payment on a house, all for a coin that once had the buying power of a single cent. It's not just the doubling error that drives up the value. Condition is everything in the world of numismatics. A coin with strong luster, minimal wear, sharp details, and no damage from circulation can fetch exponentially more than the same coin in average condition. When a coin is submitted to a grading service and comes back as MS65 or higher, meaning it's in near-perfect condition, collectors know they're looking at a rare gem. There's also historical value in the 1941 penny. It was minted on the brink of the United States entering World War II. In just 2 years, the composition of the penny would change temporarily to steel due to copper shortages. That makes 1941 one of the final years where traditional copper pennies were minted before the war effort reshaped American coinage. The story behind these coins only adds to their mystique and collectability. So, how can you tell if you have one of these ultra-rare 1941 wheat pennies? First, look at the date and the lettering under a magnifying glass. If you spot any signs of doubling, especially if the coin is still in excellent condition, you could be looking at a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. It's always worth having an expert or a certified grading service take a look. The cost of grading is small compared to what a coin like this can sell for. The truth is, most people have no idea what's sitting in their drawers, jars, and shoeboxes. Old coins often get tossed aside, forgotten in attics and basements. But collectors know that buried among the common coins are rare treasures. Coins that were minted by accident. Coins with errors that were never meant to exist. Coins that now command 5- and 6-figure price tags because of their rarity and story. And this isn't just about money. Owning a coin like the 1941 double die wheat penny is like holding a piece of American history in your hand. It connects you to a different era, to the craftsmanship and imperfections of early 20th century minting, to a time before computers and automation, when mistakes could turn a penny into a legend. So next time you get a handful of change, take a closer look. That old, worn-out penny might not just be copper. It might be a window to the past, and your key to a $77,000 payday. Top 2. They say a penny saved is a penny earned, but what if that one penny was worth more than $60,000? That's exactly what happened with one of the most mysterious and valuable coins in American history, the 1944 Wheat Penny. This isn't just pocket change. This is a life-changing discovery, a copper coin with a twist of history, rarity, and a touch of pure minting accident that turned an everyday cent into a $61,000 treasure. The 1944 Wheat Penny looks simple at first glance. You've got Lincoln's profile on the front, his face facing right, calm and steady. Above him, the words, "In God We Trust." To the left, "Liberty." And to the right, the date, 1944. Flip it over, and the classic wheat stalks frame the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. For millions of Americans, this was an ordinary coin in their pocket during a time of global war, sacrifice, and resilience. But within the massive minting of 1944 pennies lies one of the most famous and expensive minting mistakes ever made. Here's where things get unbelievable. In 1943, due to the wartime need for copper to make ammunition and military equipment, the U.S. Mint temporarily switched penny production from copper to zinc-coated steel. So in 1943, most pennies were silver gray in color. Then, in 1944, copper was reintroduced, and pennies went back to their familiar reddish-brown look. But something happened during this transition that would create one of the rarest coins in U.S. history. A few steel planchets, left over from 1943, were accidentally used in 1944. And just like that, the 1944 steel wheat penny was born. This coin was never meant to exist. It was a fluke, an oversight, a ghost from the year before. But a few of these 1944 steel pennies made it out of the mint and into circulation. And because they looked just like the 1943 pennies, most people never realized what they had. But here's the catch. A 1944 penny should never be silver. If you ever find a 1944 penny that doesn't have that familiar copper color, stop everything. Because that could be the jackpot point. One of these rare 1944 steel cents has sold for an incredible $61,000. That's right. 1 cent turned into a down payment on a house, turned into a year's college tuition, turned into the kind of story people tell for generations. And the reason it's sold for so much isn't just because of how rare it is, it's because of how unbelievable its existence is. It represents a moment when history and human error collided, and something that shouldn't exist slipped through the cracks and became legend. Now imagine having one of these in your collection and not even knowing it. Maybe it's in a jar of coins you inherited from a grandparent. Maybe it's sitting in a dusty drawer, forgotten for decades. Maybe it passed through your hands and back into circulation without a second glance. That's what makes this coin so powerful. It could be anywhere. And very few people would even know what to look for. It's not just the steel version that holds value. There are also 1944 wheat pennies with other rare errors, off-center strikes, double dies, and even transitional planchets where the wrong metal was used. These variations are often worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, and collectors are always searching for them. But none stir up the kind of buzz and excitement like the 1944 steel cent. What gives these coins such massive value isn't just the rarity, it's the story. The war, the metal shortage, the rush to supply the military, the mistakes that happened under pressure, the fact that millions of people handle these coins daily and never imagined that one of them could one day be worth more than most people's monthly salary. It's history you can hold. It's a mystery you can solve. And for a lucky few, it's a miracle that shows up in their change. Grading services and coin experts will tell you, condition matters. If your 1944 steel penny, or any rare variation, is in near-perfect condition, that price tag goes up fast. Coins graded MS65 or higher can reach astronomical value. And if you ever think you found one, never try to clean it. Don't alter it. Don't mess with it. The value comes from its authenticity and originality. So now, the question is this: could you be the next person to find one? Could your old change jar, your childhood coin folder, or your grandma's collection hold a hidden treasure? The 1944 wheat penny is living proof that lightning can strike in the most unexpected places. All it takes is one penny, one coin, one piece of copper or steel that wasn't supposed to exist. And just like that, your ordinary day becomes unforgettable. Your story becomes part of coin collecting legend. Because somewhere out there, another rare 1944 wheat penny might be waiting to be discovered, and it might just be in your hands. Top 3. They say every coin has a story. But some coins have legends. And among the most mysterious and jaw-dropping stories in American numismatic history is the 1945 wheat penny, a coin so ordinary, yet so rare in a specific form that it is sold for an astonishing $65,000. That's right, $65,000 for a coin most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the sidewalk. But this isn't just any penny. This is a once-in-a-generation mistake that slipped through the cracks of the U.S. Mint and made history. Let's set the scene. It's 1945. The world is still reeling from World War II. The U.S. is emerging as a global power. Troops are coming home. Industry is booming. And in the middle of it all, the U.S. Mint is pumping out billions of pennies. Copper wheat pennies with the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the iconic wheat stalks on the back. Most were routine, unremarkable, just small pieces of metal to keep the economy moving. But something strange happened that year. Among the billions of regular copper pennies, a few coins were struck using the wrong metal, left over from previous experiments or mistakes at the mint. These weren't copper at all. They were made from a zinc-coated steel planchet, a metal that had only officially been used for pennies back in 1943 during the height of the copper shortage. But somehow, inexplicably, a few steel blanks were fed into the presses at the wrong time and stamped with the 1945 date. The result? The incredibly rare 1945 steel wheat penny, a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. A coin that shouldn't have made it past inspection. But it did. And not only did it survive, it ended up in circulation. Lost in the sea of change, mistaken for an ordinary 1943 penny, overlooked by millions of hands for decades. Fast forward to today, and one of these rare 1945 steel wheat penny surfaces. It's in excellent condition, verified by top grading services, and collectors go wild. When it hits the auction block, bidding skyrockets. And finally, the hammer falls $65,000. 1 cent, $65,000. This isn't just about metal. It's about the story behind the coin, the accidental survival, the historical context, the sheer unlikeliness of it all. That's what gives it power. That's what gives it value. It's a relic of a moment that wasn't meant to happen, a coin that defied the system. But the 1945 wheat penny's value doesn't stop there. There are also rare die errors from that year, including double dies, off-center strikes, and transitional planchets, coins struck with the wrong metal mix or from worn-down dies that leave distorted lettering or misaligned images. These errors turn common coins into high-value rarities that collectors will pay thousands, even tens of thousands, to own. If you're lucky enough to find a 1945 penny that looks silver instead of copper, that's your first sign. Hold it under a magnet. If it sticks, there's a chance you've got steel, and you might be holding a fortune. The next step? Don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't try to make it shiny. That's a quick way to destroy its value. Get it professionally graded and authenticated. That small investment could turn into a massive return. Now think about it. How many old jars of coins are sitting in attics, basements, and garage sales across America? How many collections have been passed down through generations without anyone realizing what's really inside? The most valuable coins in the world don't always look flashy. They don't always sparkle. But they carry something far more powerful, a piece of forgotten history. And the 1945 wheat penny? It's a perfect example of that. It looks like a penny. It spins like a penny. But in the right form, in the rarest condition, it becomes a six-figure headline. A collector's dream. A viral sensation. So next time you're handed a few pennies and change, or you're sorting through a drawer of old coins, stop and look closely. That 1945 wheat penny might not just be another cent. It might be your unexpected ticket to $65,000. Because treasure isn't always buried deep. Sometimes, it's right there in the palm of your hand, disguised as something ordinary, waiting for someone with the eyes to see it. And if you do find it, you won't just be holding a rare coin. You'll be holding a piece of American history, a survivor, a mistake that became a miracle. A 1945 wheat penny worth more than anyone ever imagined. Top 4. In the world of coin collecting, there are a few names that always turn heads. 1909. Sfeed B. 1943 bronze, 1944 steel. But there's one coin that most people completely overlook. A coin that hides in plain sight. A coin so rare, so unexpected, that it shocked even seasoned collectors when it hit the auction scene. The year was 1954. A year that, for most people, produced nothing more than your average copper penny. But among the millions minted that year, a tiny number of coins were struck with a mistake so rare that one of them would go on to sell for an unbelievable $57,000. This is the story of the 1954 wheat penny, the mystery version that collectors have been hunting for decades. A penny with a twist, a flaw, and a price tag that could buy you a luxury car. The 1954 wheat penny, like many others, features Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, along with "In God We Trust" at the top, Liberty on the left. In the year 1954, stamped to the right. Flip it over, and you get the familiar wheat ears design. 1 cent, in bold letters, United States of America, and the Latin phrase e pluribus unum. Billions were produced, and most of them ended up in change jars, vending machines, and cash drawers across America. But a very few, they were different. One version of the 1954 penny was accidentally struck on a foreign planchet, a blank intended for a coin from another country. These planchets were slightly smaller, lighter, and made of a different metal alloy. And somehow, in the chaos of mass production at the U.S. Mint, they slipped in. These pennies look slightly off, maybe a little thinner, a little lighter, maybe the color isn't quite right. But to the untrained eye, they just look like a regular old cent. They're not. They're some of the rarest errors ever to come out of the 1950s. And when one of these rare 1954 off-metal wheat pennies made its way to auction, it stunned the numismatic world. In pristine, uncirculated condition, graded by top experts, it brought in a jaw-dropping $57,000. That's not a typo. That's not a rumor. That's the value a dedicated collector was willing to pay for a single cent with a 1 in a million flaw. And it's not just foreign planchets. The 1954 wheat penny also has known examples of double die errors, coins where the design elements were stamped twice slightly out of alignment. The result is a coin where the letters, numbers, and details appear blurry or doubled, especially in the words Liberty and God We Trust in the date itself. These double die errors are highly collectible and can be worth thousands on their own, but when combined with a rare planchet or found in mint state condition, the price skyrockets. So why haven't you heard about this before? Because most people don't think of 1954 as a rare year. It wasn't a key date. It wasn't part of a major wartime metal shift. It was a quiet year. But sometimes, it's the quiet years that hide the biggest surprises. That's what makes the 1954 wheat penny so exciting. It's the underdog, the sleeper hit, the treasure hiding in plain sight. Imagine how many of these coins were tossed aside, spent, or lost over the years. Imagine how many are still out there, waiting to be discovered, in a jar of pennies, in an old wallet, in your grandparents' attic. Most people will never look twice. But now you know. Now you know that a simple 1954 penny could be worth $57,000 if it has the right error, the right condition, and the right story behind it. And that's what coin collecting is all about. It's not just about metal and numbers. It's about discovery. It's about history. It's about turning something ordinary into something unforgettable. Every coin is a mystery. Every penny has a past. And every now and then, one of them becomes legendary. So the next time you see a 1954 wheat penny, don't ignore it. Check it. Weigh it. Look closely at the date and the letters. Because that one coin, that 1 cent, might just be worth $57,000. And if you find it, you won't just have a rare coin. You'll have a story that no one else can tell. A moment in your hand when history and luck collided. 1 penny. 1 year. 1 chance. That's the magic of the 1954 wheat penny. Top 5. In the world of coin collecting, few coins spark excitement like the legendary wheat penny. For most people, it's just an old copper coin, a relic of pocket change from decades past. But for collectors and treasure hunters, the Wheat Penny series hides some of the rarest and most valuable coins ever produced in U.S. history. And among them stands one of the most surprising, the 1958 Wheat Penny, a coin that looks ordinary but in its rarest form has sold for an incredible $53,000. You might be wondering, how can a coin from 1958, the last official year of the Wheat Penny design, be worth tens of thousands of dollars? After all, it was one of the highest minted years in the series, with hundreds of millions of pennies flooding into circulation. But within that massive production run, something happened. A mistake. A 1 in a million minting error that turned a simple penny into a legendary collector's item. The key to the 1958 Wheat Penny's shocking value lies in one word: double die. A double die error occurs when the coin's design is struck twice onto the die in slightly different positions before being used to strike coins. When this happens, the design elements, particularly the lettering and date, appear blurred, distorted, or literally doubled. These errors are rare. And when they do occur, they send shockwaves through the collecting community. The 1958 double die wheat penny is one of the rarest of all. Unlike more common double dies from earlier years, the 1958 version was caught early by the U.S. Mint. Most were destroyed, but a very small number, believed to be fewer than 10, escaped into the wild. Only a few confirmed examples exist, and when one surfaced in mint condition, it stunned the numismatic world by selling for a staggering $53,000. 000. Just imagine, 1 cent, a coin you could find in your pocket, worth more than a year's salary. That's the power of rarity. That's the power of a minting mistake so severe and so uncommon that it turned an everyday object into a priceless artifact. Collectors look for very specific signs when hunting for this ultra-rare error. The most noticeable doubling appears in the words, "In God We Trust," across the top of the coin, the word "Liberty" to the left of Lincoln's portrait, and the date 1958 on the right. The letters and numbers appear thick, shadowed, almost vibrating. Even under casual light, the doubling is often visible to the naked eye. And if you ever think you've spotted one, don't hesitate, get it authenticated. Because if it's real, you're holding a small fortune. It's important to note that most 1958 wheat pennies are common. They were the last of their kind, before the U.S. Mint transitioned to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. Billions were minted. They're still found in jars, drawers, and old piggy banks across the country. But that's what makes this so fascinating. Within that sea of copper, one rare version slipped through. A mistake survived. And now, it's one of the most famous coins in the hobby. What adds even more weight to the legend of the 1958 double die is the mystery behind its survival. How did these coins escape destruction? Who found them first? And how many might still be out there, sitting unnoticed in collections or hidden in old rolls of coins? No one knows for sure. And that uncertainty fuels the search. Because the next rare 1958 wheat penny could be anywhere. It could be in your home. It could be in your hands. That's what makes coin collecting magical. It's not just about old money, it's about uncovering hidden history. The 1958 wheat penny represents a moment when human error, production pressure, and sheer luck combined to create something legendary. It's a reminder that even in a world of mass production, something rare can still break through. So if you ever come across a 1958 wheat penny, stop. Look closely. Use a magnifying glass. Study the letters. Examine the date. Because that simple coin might not be so simple after all. It might be the next great discovery. The next coin to shock the auction world. The next piece of American history with a $53,000 story behind it. 1 cent. 1 year. One chance at something unforgettable. The 1958 wheat penny proves that treasure doesn't always sparkle. Sometimes, it's a faded copper coin waiting to be noticed.